What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to a model airplane review. I'm your host, Ray. Today, I'll be reviewing the Gemini 200 Delta Airlines Airbus A321NEO in the 100-year anniversary livery, item number G2DAL1399, released for March of 2025. In this video, I'll review the model, then I'll list off its pros and cons. At the end, I will decide whether or not I recommend this model to other collectors. The box for this model is made from cardboard. The protective packaging on the inside is made from white foam. This box is a generic Gemini 200 A321 box. The only difference is that it has a custom box art. This box measures 22.8 centimeters long, 7.5 centimeters wide, and 22.8 centimeters tall. I will show you around the box now. This is the front. Here's the bottom, right side, top, left side, and the back side. Back here is the message released by Delta Airlines on their 100-year anniversary. This box features a flap that allows you to access the model. It's a magnetic flap that attaches to the bottom of the box, and there you can see the white foam protective packaging. Before we talk about the model, there's a few things I'd like to discuss here on the computer-generated image of the model. If you look closely, you can see that there are several details that are missing from the computer-generated image that causes this image to not match the model nor the real aircraft, and I'll point these out now. First, if we look at the cockpit windows, you can see the black raccoon mask is missing. This is not an issue on the model itself. Now, just behind it, we have a Here, let me move the camera. There we go. I just realized you guys could barely see that. So, right here in front, or to the left of the L1 door, there's a SkyTeam logo. This is actually missing on the model, but it's present on the real aircraft, so that's one thing that the model gets wrong. We're going to move down to the engines now. On the engine nacelle, none of the stenciling is present, and just behind it, the sharklet here has a weird angle between the gray and the blue paint right here. This isn't reflected on the model, and it's not accurate to the real aircraft. Just behind it, the emergency exit here is the wrong type of emergency exit. This is not reflected on the model itself. Just below it is an emergency slide door. This is present on the real aircraft. It doesn't have the blue border though, and it's entirely missing from the model itself. Now, the aircraft's registration is missing on the computer-generated image, but it's present on the real model. The last thing I managed to notice was that the fleet number on the vertical stabilizer is missing from the box, but it's present on the model. Included in the box is the model as shown here, fully assembled, painted, and ready to display. Also included is this pathetic excuse for a display stand. This flimsy display stand does not have the structural integrity to support the model. If you want to display this model on a stand, I recommend purchasing a separate one. To make matters worse, the rod that goes into the display stand hole, which is at the bottom of the model, is too wide, and to force it into the model is to risk damaging it, and really it's not worth it to use this display stand in my opinion. Here's the model itself. Let's take a quick break from nitpicking and trash talking. The fuselage length for this model is 22.2 centimeters, the wingspan is 17.7 centimeters, and the height is 6.6 centimeters. These dimensions are mostly accurate to 1 to 200 scale. This model is made primarily out of die-cast metal, and it features some plastic components. The wheels on the landing gear are made out of rubber. Let's start the review with the fuselage. Unfortunately, we get a lot of complaints right away. First, the nose shape is not accurate to that of the A321neo or A321 family in general. This is a commonly known issue, unfortunately, with this tooling, so it's kind of unavoidable. Now, earlier I mentioned that there's supposed to be a SkyTeam logo here, but it's missing on the model. Now, there is a somewhat understandable reason for this. This aircraft rolled out of the factory without that SkyTeam logo, along with some of the stenciling that goes to the right of the L1 door here. So that's probably why it was missing. I don't think Gemini was aware of the fact that they were going to add the SkyTeam logo until later, but by then the models had already been produced. Now, there's some small details that go to the right of the L1 door here, and this one right here that's present is somewhat accurate, but I don't think it's exactly correct. There's a few things that are missing here and there. Overall, these are minor nitpicks. These are really small details, and everything else, all of the stencils and placards you see, that's accurate. So that really isn't that big of a deal. I just wanted to point that out to you. Let's move down the fuselage. There's the 100-year anniversary title. Take a look at those stripes. Overall, the stripes on this model, especially here at the midsection, these are pretty good. The shape is accurate, the placement's accurate, the color is accurate. You can kind of see a glittery finish to it. It's very hard to notice this in real life, and that's just due to the scale of the model and the real aircraft. But the glittery finish, it's hard to notice, and it achieves the correct look to match the real aircraft, so no complaints there. The color is mostly accurate. The blue color seems accurate. The silver color, that's not entirely accurate. I think it should be a bit more blue, but it's not egregiously inaccurate either. Now here is the emergency exit behind the sharklet I was talking about on the computer-generated image. This is the correct emergency exit. I believe this is actually a plug door. I don't know for sure. Now below it, there's no door for the emergency exit slide. That's inaccurate because that door is present on the real aircraft. Now something I'm noticing is that the door is kind of tilted. That's not accurate, and that's rather strange. I haven't seen that kind of issue from a Gemini model yet, at least in my collection. Now, the last of my second to last of my nitpicks here on the fuselage is the aircraft's registration. The font for the letters is too small, and it's placed a bit too far aft. The letter N here should intersect with both the white and the gray, and it doesn't, unfortunately. Now, last but not least, this exit right here, it's also off at an angle. It's kind of tilted, like this top end is tilted towards the towards the front of the aircraft. Sorry, I got lost with my words there. That's not accurate, I don't believe, and it's just not a good look in my opinion. Now, let's talk more about the paint. Here we can see a continuation of the silver and the light blue stripes, and then back here is the dark blue. This looks pretty good, the color is accurate, and the stripe placement here is also pretty good. Now, if you look closely in the light reflection, you can see the layering between the different areas of paint application. You can see it here, here, and here as well. We've seen this on several 1 to 200 scale and 1 to 400 scale models. Gemini Jets sometimes screws this up, but on this model, I think they did a decent job. I'm not going to criticize it. They did a solid job, and even if you look at the model from a certain angle, you can hardly see it. Some of this layering is present on the stripes towards the front of the aircraft, but it really isn't worthy of complaining about, so I just wanted to point that out to you guys. The vertical stabilizer looks decent, but there's a few things that I'd like to complain about. First and foremost, something I just noticed is this paint chip here. It's kind of annoying to see. The silver paint on the leading edge isn't nearly thick enough to compensate for the fact that there's two highly contrasting colors on the stabilizer here, because you can see the different areas of blue and silver from underneath. You're not supposed to see that. So yeah, oh, and you can. It's even worse on the camera than in real life. So that's I don't like that. Now up here, this little number here is the fleet number I was talking about earlier. This is accurate to the real aircraft. And there's also recessed panel lines for the rudder. That looks pretty nice. Last but not least, this top edge up here is kind of off at an angle relative to the fuselage. It's like this back end here is taller than this front end here, if that makes sense. That's not supposed to be like that. It should be parallel to the fuselage, and it is not. I think that's enough nitpicking for now. I'm already running out of breath from it. Here's the right side of the aircraft. Everything I've said about the left side is also applicable to the right side. What we've seen so far are a lot of imperfections. Really, all I found out are small nitpicks, and the only egregious issue, not egregious, but noteworthy issue that you can really complain about and notice is the nose shape. Everything else are small nitpicks, but in my opinion, they're starting to add up a little bit too much. The wings on this model are solid. They feature all sorts of detail, all of the types of detail that we're looking for. First, the recessed panel lines for the control surfaces. All of them are accurate and clearly defined. No complaints there. There's different colors of paint. We have the gray paint and then the silver on the leading edge. This looks pretty good as well. No complaints there. And of course, the printed details for the stencils and the emergency markings, the emergency exit markings rather. Those look pretty nice. No complaints. Now, the bottom of the wings don't feature any printed detail, but they feature the recessed panel lines that we're still looking for. These look pretty good. I do see that the aileron here is almost filled in with paint, but it really isn't, so that's not that big of a deal. The attachment with the aircraft is very nice. There's really not that big of a gap between the wing itself and the fuselage. I do see a bit of a rough joint here, but that's very minuscule, so I'll overlook it. Here is the wing root on the left wing. This looks pretty good. The only issue I see here is a small scratch in the silver paint and what appears to be some layering here in the paint. You can kind of see evidence of like a blob there. That's a little bit disappointing to see. Now my issue with the wings isn't the wing itself, it's the sharklets here. So here's the left sharklet, and the silver paint here on the leading edge, that is way too thick. The silver part here, it shouldn't extend that far out onto the sharklet, but unfortunately it does. And it's the layering of the paint is too thin because we can also see some blue and gray paint poking out from underneath. So yeah, Gemini needs to work on the paint going on to the leading edges of their of the aero surfaces. That's the word I was looking for. Now the shape of the sharklet itself is actually pretty accurate. That I won't complain about. They've also improved the angle at which the sharklet is relative to the aircraft, because this one is pointed out as it should be on the real aircraft. So that's good to see. Previously, they've been pointed straight up, but this one is pointed out. Same with this one. No, this one is not pointed out as it should be. Well, that victory was short-lived. Jeez. Alright, well, at least the positioning of the blue and gray paint is accurate here. Whoa, okay, the delta title here, that is way too high. That's printed way too high up along the sharklet. Is that an issue on the left side? Yeah, it kind of is. Yeah, overall, the sharklets, the only thing good about these is the shape. Everything else they screwed up. Here are the horizontal stabilizers. Thankfully, there's nothing to complain about here. These are good. Gemini usually does good on these, and these are no exception. They did pretty good, so no complaints there. The attachment with the fuselage seems pretty solid as well. The engines on this model are solid. The overall shape of the nacelle is correct. I do see some signs of filing underneath the paint there. You can kind of see some scratches, but that's not that big of a deal. I also see some weird blob on the exhaust nozzle here. That's kind of strange, but aside from that, it looks good. Painted the different colors of silver paint. That looks nice. The pylon shape is good. Attachment with the aircraft is also good. Now, on the nacelle, there's lots of printed details, lots of small stencils. Those are the ones missing from the computer-generated image, but these present on the model are very nice overall. No complaints there. Now, the fans look pretty good. They spin if you blow into them, and also if you spin them. Let me make sure the camera's focused. If you spin them manually, you can see it spin. And the comma spinner marking there, that looks very nice. The inlet looks good as well. No complaints, as do the engine strakes. Here's the right engine for completion's sake. Everything I've said about the left engine is also applicable to the right engine, but thankfully, this one doesn't have any weird blobs on the nozzle. This model features three-dimensional details on the fuselage, including gemmed lights, antennas, and a SATCOM dome. Here, towards the center of the fuselage, you can see one of the gemmed lights, and towards the rear of the aircraft is the SATCOM dome I was referring to earlier. So here's a large antenna, smaller antenna, and the dome here. The dome shape is correct. The attachment with the aircraft is virtually perfect. I don't really see a gap between the fuselage and the dome itself, so that's very good. The only issue is the placement, which is a little bit too far aft. It should be placed a bit more forward such that the back end here lines up with the gray paint. Or not gray paint, but the silver paint right here. The bottom of the aircraft is definitely not lacking in three-dimensional details either. Here we have a small antenna, and towards the middle we've got more small antennas. We've got another curved small antenna here and a gemmed light, and then a large antenna towards the rear. If the camera would focus, that'd be great. There you go, you can see that. And then another small curved antenna towards the back end of the fuselage. I'm now going to pan the camera across the bottom of the aircraft. Take note of the various printed stencils and small printed details. Here at the center of the fuselage, we have the large Delta logo. That looks very nice. There's the display stain hole that unfortunately cuts off the E, and the Gemini Jets logo. Let's keep moving down. There we can see several cargo bay doors and small stencils, all of which look very nice. Now, right from here, let's move on to the landing gear. The landing gear on this model is permanently extended. As mentioned earlier, the wheels are made out of rubber, and they do roll. They're a bit stiff, but they roll, which is a nice touch. The struts for the main gear are very nicely detailed. They securely hold the model. There's no issues with structural integrity. And on some Gemini 200 A320 family models, I've seen severe damage to the landing gear struts, especially the main gear and the nose gear. Well, that's the entirety of landing gear, but especially the main gear struts, I've seen some severe damage to those. Thankfully, these came in perfectly intact. Now, the same can't be said about the nose gear. The nose gear, at a first glance, looks good, but if you noticed how I was handling the model earlier, you can kind of see that the nose gear strut tilts back very far. It's possible to bend it back into place, but that'll just risk ruining the gear part. So this is just really annoying to see. And the reason for this is because the idea is to allow the gear to pivot, to kind of rotate, but honestly, I think that's an unnecessary feature. Now, on the gear doors, you can see the aircraft's fleet number, 5089. That looks pretty good, as well as some small stenciling on there. So overall, the strut itself looks nice, as do the doors. It's just that feature that causes it to tilt that kind of degrades from the quality of the nose gear. Here is the side of the aircraft. Here we can see the engine clearance as well as how the model sits on its gear. This looks fine. It is kind of angled forward a bit too much. I think the main gear is a bit too tall, but it's really not that bad. And the engine clearance looks good and accurate. Here's my signature steering contest. Gear balance looks good. The nose gear, I knew it was going to be tilted, and yeah, it's tilted off at an angle. Ugh, I hate when I see that. Wing flex looks good, but if you look at the wings, you can kind of see how from the wing root to the sharklet, the bend varies, like they angle slightly, as if the wings are heavy and they're bending due to the weight. That's not accurate to the real aircraft. The A321 wings and the A320 wings, A320 family wings for that matter, they don't do this, so that's really annoying to see. Cockpit window printing, definitely a little bit angled. Vertical stabilizer, that looks straight up, as do the horizontal stabilizers. The angle there looks acceptable. That concludes my review, and wow, this one went pretty long. I'll be quick with the pros and cons. What did Gemini jets do well in this model? They feature lots of fine details in the form of small printed details and stenciling. Paint application seemed consistent, and the paint colors were pretty much 100% accurate to the real aircraft from what I saw. That's really it. I mean, in terms of cons, we saw several small imperfections, missing details. Now, with regards to missing details, that's kind of forgivable. I explained the circumstances earlier, but misalignments, small paint application issues here and there, they really start to add up. My biggest issue with this model is the shape of it. The tooling used to make this model is terrible. The nose shape was bad. The wing angle that we saw just now, not good. The vertical stabilizer top, that wasn't too good either. But my biggest issue with this model is the disaster that happened on the sharklets. I don't know what that was about. I've never seen an issue that bad from Gemini, but it really degrades from the model. So coming up with a recommendation is very hard for me, because I'll admit it, I'm biased. I love this livery, and I love the look of the model. From afar, looking at it right now, it looks pretty darn good. Now, everything I just pointed out, though, really degrades from the model, and also something to consider is that this is so far is the only 1:200 scale offering of this model as of recording, so far as I've been made aware. That was really a mouthful for some reason, but this is the only model in 1:200 scale of this aircraft that I'm aware of. That's the point I'm trying to make. Oh man, I can't decide if I can recommend this model or not. Yeah, screw it. I still do recommend this model. From afar, it looks pretty good, but it's got a lot of issues. And the box art, too. If you're picky about the box art, that'll definitely get you, because it's not really that accurate. That did not feel right to do. It doesn't feel right to recommend this model, but it really is our only option right now. So unfortunately, I do have to recommend it. Just proceed with caution. If you're willing to put up with all of the issues it has, then go for it. If not, I say wait for a different manufacturer. Recently, NG Model just announced their 1:200 scale A321NEO mold, so maybe it's worth it to wait for that one. But NG Model, they also have their issues right now, so this one is so far your only option. Well, that was certainly a long review, and thankfully it's over. That's all I've got for today. As always, if you have questions or feedback, be sure to leave a comment below. If you're new to the channel and you want to show some support, like this video and subscribe so you never miss another upload. While you're here, feel free to watch my other videos about the scale models I collect. Happy building, happy collecting, please take good care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.